The bandage on her wrist should have been invisible. Just another detail in the sterile luxury of the penthouse suite she cleaned every Tuesday and Friday. But when Kemi Okon reached for the crystal vase, her sleeve rode up, and Kang Min-ho saw everything. The purple bruises, the finger-shaped marks, the way she flinched when his footsteps approached too quickly. He was Korea's most feared prosecutor, a man who'd built his reputation destroying the untouchable, and something ancient and protective roared to life inside him. "Who did this to you?" His voice was deadly calm, the same tone he used before ruining men's lives in court. "Welcome to K-Fairy Tales Stories, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe." Kemi's fingers trembled against the vase. "Nobody, Mr. Kang, I just fell." Her English carried the soft lilt of Nigeria, words carefully chosen, eyes fixed on the marble floor. Min-ho stepped closer. She stepped back. That small movement, that reflexive retreat, ignited something in him that had nothing to do with the cases he prosecuted or the criminals he destroyed. For the first time in 15 years of controlling Seoul's most powerful courtroom, Kang Min-ho felt completely out of control. "Don't lie to me," he whispered. The world shifted between them. Kemi had cleaned Min-ho's penthouse for 6 months without truly seeing him. He was a presence, expensive suits, quiet footsteps, the scent of bergamot and something sharper, danger that lingered in rooms after he left. She knew important things. He paid triple the agency rate. Never left messes, expected invisibility. Invisibility was Kemi's specialty. 28 years of being overlooked had taught her how to move through spaces without disturbing the air. She folded herself smaller in elevators, quieted her breathing around important people, perfected the art of being present without being seen. Today that careful invisibility shattered. She'd covered the bruise as best she could. Foundation 3 shades too light because that's what the corner store carried. Long sleeves despite Seoul's summer heat. Her supervisor at Elite Home Services would fire her if she showed up looking unpresentable. Kemi needed this job. Her daughter needed new school shoes. Rent was due in 8 days, so Kemi went to work. The penthouse was silent when she arrived at 2. Min-ho was never home during her shifts, a small mercy she'd counted on today. She moved through the expansive living room with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. The city sprawled beneath like a kingdom. His kingdom, she'd heard other maids whisper. Kang Min-ho owned half of Gangnam's legal world and all of its secrets. The cases he prosecuted were legitimate. Everything else existed in calculated strategy. Kemi didn't care about his reputation. She cared about the $400 weekly that kept her daughter fed. She was dusting bookshelves when she heard the elevator chime. Her heart lurched. He was never home early. "You're still here." His voice came from behind her, each word precisely chosen. Kemi turned slowly, keeping her face angled away. "I'm sorry, Mr. Kang. I'll finish quickly. Look at me. It wasn't a request." Kang Min-ho didn't make requests. She raised her eyes and watched his expression shift from distant politeness to something sharp and focused. He crossed the room in 3 strides, expensive Italian shoes silent on marble floors. Up close he was devastating, sharp jawline, dark eyes that missed nothing, black hair styled with casual perfection. The top buttons of his white shirt were undone, revealing collarbones and the hint of something she couldn't identify. "What happened to your face?" His hand lifted toward her cheek, then stopped, hovering, waiting for permission Kemi didn't know how to give. "I fell." The lie tasted bitter. "I'm fine." Min-ho's eyes narrowed. In 6 months, she'd never heard him raise his voice. But the quiet in him now was more terrifying than any shout. "You fell," he repeated, each syllable weighted with disbelief. "Yes, and the bruises on your wrist." He nodded toward her left hand where finger-shaped marks darkened her brown skin despite the long sleeves. Kemi yanked her sleeve down. "Mr. Kang, I really should finish. Sit." "I can't. I have 3 more houses today." I said sit, softer this time, but no less absolute. She perched on the edge of his pristine white sofa, wrong in every way. Her discount store uniform, her second-hand shoes, her damaged face in his perfect space. Min-ho stood before her, hands in his pockets, studying her with an intensity that made her skin warm. "Tell me his name. There's no Kemi." The way he said her name, careful, like something precious, stopped her breath. He'd never used her name before.
"I've built my career on reading people. You're terrified. That bruise is fresh. Someone hurt you recently." She stood abruptly. "With respect, Mr. Kang, my personal life isn't your concern. It became my concern the moment you walked into my home injured." He stepped closer and she smelled bergamot and something darker. "Whiskey, maybe. Is it a boyfriend? No. Husband? No. Then who?" Kemi met his eyes, saw genuine concern there, mixed with something that looked like barely restrained violence. "Why do you care? I'm just your maid." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. "You think that's all you are, isn't it?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. "I notice everything in my space, Kemi. 6 months ago, you started bringing flowers, cheap bodega flowers you arrange in my kitchen when you think I won't see. You reorganize my books by color instead of alphabetically because you think it looks better. You leave the windows open exactly 3 inches because you figured out I like fresh air but hate wind." Her throat tightened. She thought herself invisible. "You hum when you work," he continued. "Old songs. Your grandmother's favorites, I think, because sometimes you sing words about going home to Lagos." He tilted his head. "You're not just my maid. You're the only real thing in this apartment." Kemi couldn't breathe. "Mr. Kang, the name. Give me the name of who did this." "I can't. Can't or won't? Both." She grabbed her cleaning caddy. "I should go." His hand caught her wrist. The unmarked one. Gentle but firm. "If you leave now, you're taking my protection with you. Whoever hurt you, they'll do it again." "Your protection?" She almost laughed. "You don't even know me. I know you have a daughter. 7 years old, I think. I know you work 4 houses a day to afford an apartment in a neighborhood you're scared to walk through at night. I know you're stronger than anyone I've ever met. And I know," he stopped, jaw tight, "I know I won't let anyone hurt you again." The elevator chimed. Minho's expression shifted instantly, the concern vanishing behind cold authority. A man emerged. Korean, young, deferential. "Prosecutor Kang, we have a situation in the man stopped. Seeing Kemi, Minho spoke rapid Korean, his tone dismissive. The man bowed and retreated. "Kemi," Minho's voice drew her back. "Stay. Have dinner with me. Tell me what happened." "I can't." "Why?" "Because you're Kang Minho." She gestured around the penthouse. "And I'm nobody." His hand lifted to her face, thumb ghosting over the edge of her bruise with devastating gentleness. "You're wrong. You're the first person I've wanted to know in 15 years. Kemi's phone buzzed. Her daughter's school. She pulled away. "I have to go." She was in the elevator before Minho could respond, but she felt his eyes on her the entire descent, heavy and searching and impossibly dangerous. That night, lying in her narrow bed in their cramped apartment, Kemi touched the bruise on her face and wondered what it meant that Kang Minho had looked at her like she mattered. 3 days passed. Kemi returned to the penthouse on schedule, half expecting Minho to fire her or worse, demand answers she couldn't give. Instead, she found him sitting at his dining table, paperwork spread before him, waiting. "You came." He sounded relieved. "It's my job. It's Thursday at 2. Sit with me. Mr. Kang, please." The word unraveled her. Kemi set down her cleaning supplies and sat, keeping careful distance between them. Minho pushed a cup of tea toward her, the expensive kind, fragrant and steaming. "I had my people make inquiries," he said quietly. Kemi's blood went cold. "What? About you? About who might want to hurt you?" He held up a hand before she could protest. "I was discreet. But Kemi, if someone's threatening you, I can." "No." She stood. "You can't do whatever you're thinking. This isn't your world to fix." "Then whose world is it? Yours?" His eyes flashed. "You're cleaning houses 12 hours a day to survive. Someone put their hands on you. That makes it my world now." "Why?" she demanded. "Why do you care?" Minho stood, rounding the table until they were face to face. "Because when I look at you, I don't see a maid. I see someone who brings light into this tomb I've built. I see someone who sings like she still believes in joy despite everything trying to crush it out of her. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me." His hand lifted to her face again, that same hovering gesture, seeking permission. "Tell me everything." This time Kemi didn't pull away. His fingers brushed her cheek, feather light, tracing the edge of the bruise. The touch was so gentle it hurt more than the original blow. "His name is Marcus," she heard herself whisper. "My ex, my daughter's father." Minho's hand stilled. "Where is he now?" "I don't know. He left when I was pregnant, came back 2 weeks ago demanding money, said I owed him for his investment in a kid he never wanted." Her voice cracked. "He got angry when I said no." "Did he threaten your daughter?" The protective fury in his voice made her look up. Minho's face was carved from stone, but his eyes burned. He implied things, Kemi admitted, about knowing where she goes to school, about how accidents happen to children. Minho's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone, typed rapidly in Korean, then pocketed it. That threat ends today. What are you? I'm handling it. Marcus will forget you exist. You can't just. Kemi grabbed his arm. Minho, whatever you're thinking, don't. I won't have blood on my hands. There won't be blood. There will be a conversation. His hand covered hers. Kemi, men like Marcus understand one language. I speak it fluently. I don't want your help. Too bad. You have it anyway. He pulled her closer, and suddenly they were breathing the same air, occupying the same impossible space. I'm done pretending you're invisible. I'm done pretending I don't count the hours until Thursday at 2. Her heart hammered. This is insane. You're you and you're the woman I think about when I should be thinking about cases. You're the reason I started coming home early on Thursdays. His thumb stroked over her knuckles. You're the only honest thing in my life. You barely know me. Then let me know you. He bent slightly, bringing their faces level. Have dinner with me. Real dinner. Not me ambushing you while you work. I have my daughter. Bring her. Kemi blinked. You want to meet my daughter? I want to meet everyone who matters to you. I want to understand what makes you hum those songs. He stopped, something vulnerable crossing his features. I want to matter to you the way you've started to matter to me. The elevator chimed. Minho cursed in Korean but didn't step back. Another man emerged, older this time, speaking urgently. Minho responded with sharp words that made the man pale and retreat immediately. I have to handle something, Minho said, turning back to Kemi. But tomorrow, dinner, my restaurant in Gangnam, Hanul, 7 o'clock. I'll send a car. Minho, I can't afford. You're not paying. You're my guest. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles that sent electricity through her entire body. Say yes, Kemi. Let me show you what it feels like to be seen. She should say no, should maintain the careful distance between their worlds, should protect herself and her daughter from the dangerous orbit of Kang Minho. But when he looked at her like she was rare and precious, when his touch made her feel cherished instead of invisible, when his voice wrapped around her name like a promise. Yes, she whispered. Minho's smile transformed his face, made him look younger, almost boyish. Tomorrow, then, he was gone before she could change her mind, leaving her standing in his perfect penthouse, hand still tingling from his kiss, heart racing with equal parts terror and anticipation. That night, her daughter asked why Mommy was smiling at nothing. Kemi told her they were going to dinner at a fancy restaurant. She didn't mention the man with dangerous eyes who'd somehow seen through her invisibility and decided she was worth protecting. She didn't mention that every instinct screamed this would end in heartbreak. She especially didn't mention that for the first time in 7 years, heartbreak seemed like a risk worth taking. Hanul occupied a corner in Gangnam that whispered old money and older secrets. Kemi stood outside with her daughter Zara, both wearing their Sunday best, which still looked shabby against the restaurant's elegant facade. Mama, are you sure we're allowed? Zara tugged at her dress, a hand-me-down that Kemi had carefully mended. We were invited, baby. Kemi squeezed her daughter's hand, fighting her own doubts. The door opened before they could knock. A hostess in traditional hanbok bowed. Miss Okan, the prosecutor is waiting. They were led through the main dining room, all subtle lighting and wealthy patrons, to a private room in the back. Minho stood when they entered and Kemi's breath caught. He wore black slacks and a white shirt with sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that made her mouth go dry. Casual elegance that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Kemi. His eyes swept over her, warm and appreciative. You look beautiful. She flushed, suddenly conscious of her cheap dress. I look beautiful, he repeated firmly, then crouched to Zara's level. And you must be Zara. Your mom talks about you all the time. Zara's eyes went wide. She does? Constantly. He says you're the smartest girl in 2nd grade. 1st grade, Zara corrected solemnly. But I read at a 3rd grade level. Minho's smile was genuine. Then you and I will get along perfectly. I collect books. Do you like books? Zara nodded enthusiastically. And just like that, she was chattering about her favorite stories, while Minho listened with apparent fascination. Kemi watched them, heart squeezing at how natural Minho was with her daughter. No condescension, no forced interest, just genuine engagement. Dinner was a revelation. Course after course of Korean dishes Kemi had never tried, each explained patiently by Min-ho. He taught Zara how to use chopsticks, laughing when she dropped food repeatedly. He told stories about growing up in Seoul, about his grandmother, who taught him to appreciate good food and strong women. "My grandmother would have liked you," he said to Kemi, refilling her tea. "She always said the strongest people are the ones who protect others before themselves. I'm not that strong. You're raising a brilliant daughter alone. You work 4 jobs. You face down men twice your size when they threaten what you love." His eyes held hers. "Kemi, you're the strongest person I've ever met." Zara excused herself to the bathroom, leaving them alone for the first time all evening. The air shifted immediately, tension crackling. "Thank you," Kemi said softly. "For this, for being kind to Zara." "I'm not being kind. I'm being honest." Min-ho leaned forward. "She's incredible because you're incredible." "Min-ho, I meant what I said yesterday, about wanting to know you, about you mattering." His hand found hers across the table. "I know this is fast. I know our worlds don't make sense together, but Kemi, I haven't felt this alive in years." She should pull away. Instead, she turned her hand over, lacing their fingers together. "I'm scared. Of me? Of what you make me feel? Of what happens when reality crashes back in?" She met his eyes. "You're Kang Min-ho? I've heard the stories. I know what you are. What am I? Dangerous, powerful, way out of my league." His thumb stroked her palm. "You want to know what I see when I look at you? I see someone who makes me want to be better, someone who makes me question every choice that led to this life." His voice dropped. "Someone who makes me think maybe I could be more than what I've become." "Min-ho!" Zara burst back in, shattering the moment. But Min-ho didn't let go of Kemi's hand. And when Zara noticed, she grinned like she'd discovered a secret. They stayed for 2 more hours. Min-ho ordered dessert, pat bingsu that made Zara's eyes light up, and told more stories. He asked about Kemi's childhood in Lagos, listened to her talk about her grandmother's cooking, her dreams of maybe opening her own small cleaning business someday. "Not just cleaning," he said thoughtfully. "A service that pays fair wages, treats workers with respect. It's just a dream. Dreams become real when someone believes in them hard enough." His eyes held a promise. "I believe in yours." The drive home was in Min-ho's car, a sleek black sedan driven by a silent bodyguard. Zara fell asleep against Kemi's shoulder, full and happy. "She likes you," Kemi murmured. "Good, because I plan on being around a lot more." Min-ho shifted closer. "If you'll let me." "This is crazy." "Maybe." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing over where the bruise had been. The mark was fading, yellow-green now instead of purple. "But I'm done pretending I don't want this. Want you. People will talk. Your world and mine. My world is whatever I say it is." His voice turned fierce. "And I say you belong in it." The car stopped outside her apartment building, a run-down complex in a neighborhood that made Min-ho's jaw tighten. He helped her extract sleepy Zara, then walked them to the door despite Kemi's protests. "Tomorrow," he said at her doorway, "come to the penthouse. Not to work, to see me." "Min-ho," he kissed her, soft and searching, a question more than a demand. Kemi's free hand fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer even as her mind screamed warnings. He tasted like possibility and danger, like everything she'd trained herself not to want. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "Tomorrow," he repeated. "Tomorrow," she agreed, watching him disappear into the night, taking her common sense with him. Tomorrow came with chaos. Kemi was getting Zara ready for school when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Miss Ocon," a man's voice, professional and cold. "This is Detective Park. We need to talk about Marcus Williams." Kemi's blood froze. "What about him?" "He's filed a complaint alleging harassment from someone connected to you. He also claims you've made false accusations." The floor tilted. "That's not, I never filed anything. We need you to come to the station today." Kemi's mind raced. She'd told Min-ho about Marcus. Min-ho had made a call. Oh God, what had he done? She dropped Zara at school and went straight to the penthouse, bypassing her usual schedule. Min-ho answered the private elevator dressed in workout clothes, and gorgeous. "Kemi, I wasn't expecting." He stopped, seeing her face. "What's wrong? What did you do?" Her voice shook. "The police called." Marcus is claiming harassment. What did you do? Minho's expression shuddered. I had a conversation with him, as promised. What kind of conversation? Because now he's lying to the police about me, and he's lying because I made sure he understood what happens if he comes near you again. Minho approached her carefully. The harassment claim won't stick. You have people. Kemi stepped back. Minho, I can't be involved in whatever you did. I have Zara. If Child Services thinks I'm connected to she couldn't breathe, I could lose her. Understanding dawned on his face. Kemi, no, that won't happen. I made sure. You made sure. Her voice rose. You don't get to make sure of anything in my life. You don't get to fix my problems with whatever connections you have. I was protecting you. I didn't ask for your protection. I asked. She stopped, realizing the truth. I never asked for anything. You just took over like I'm some damsel who needs saving. Minho flinched. That's not what this is. No? Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, you're playing night while I'm the one who'll face the consequences. You have me, he said fiercely. You have my protection, my resources, I don't want them. The words exploded out of her. I want my simple life where I know the rules, where I clean houses and raise my daughter and stay invisible because invisible is safe. Invisible is dying slowly. Minho grabbed her shoulders. You think I don't see what that life costs you? You're drowning, Kemi. I'm trying to throw you a rope. I don't want your rope. Her voice cracked. I want to not be terrified that loving you will destroy everything I've built. The room went silent. Kemi realized what she'd said, watched Minho's face transform. You love me, he whispered. She tried to take it back, couldn't. It doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters. He pulled her close and she went, despite everything, burrowing into his chest like she could hide from the world there. Kemi, I will fix this. The police thing will disappear. Marcus will never bother you again. I swear on everything I am. That's what I'm afraid of. Everything you are includes things I can't be part of. His arms tightened. Then I'll change. You can't change what you are, Minho. You're Kang Minho, prosecutor. You have responsibilities, people depending on you. A whole world I don't understand. So help me understand yours. Let me in completely. Her phone rang. The detective again. Kemi pulled away to answer and Minho's expression hardened at whatever he heard in her voice. When she hung up, he was already making calls in Korean, his tone sharp and commanding. Within 30 minutes, he had a lawyer on the way to the police station, someone to pick up Zara from school, and apparently Marcus's complaint in the process of vanishing. It's handled, he said finally. Kemi stared at him. This man who could reshape reality with a few phone calls, who looked at her like she was precious, who'd somehow become essential to her happiness in just a few weeks. I need time, she said quietly. To think, to figure out if I can do this. Pain flashed across his face. How much time? I don't know. Kemi, please. She was already backing toward the elevator. Just please. She left him standing in his perfect penthouse, looking lost for the first time since she'd met him. The ride down felt like falling. Kemi wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life, or if the biggest mistake was falling in love with Kang Minho in the first place. 4 days of silence. Minho didn't call, didn't text, gave her the space she'd asked for. Kemi should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt hollow. She went through motions, work, Zara, sleep, repeat. Marcus's complaint had indeed vanished like Minho promised. She should have been grateful. She was mostly terrified of how easily he'd made her problem disappear. On the 5th day, Zara asked why they weren't seeing Mr. Kang anymore. It's complicated, baby. Do you miss him? Yes. No point lying to her too perceptive daughter. Then why don't we see him? Zara's eyes, too old for 7, studied her. Is it because he's rich and we're not? Kemi's heart broke. It's because his life is very different from ours. He made you smile, Mama. You don't smile a lot anymore. Zara crawled into her lap. I liked when you smiled. That night, Kemi couldn't sleep. She kept replaying moments. Minho's hand on her face, his fierce protectiveness, the way he'd crouched to Zara's level and listened like her daughter's words mattered. The way he'd kissed her like she was everything. Her phone buzzed at 2 in the morning. Minho, I miss you. Tell me how to fix this. She stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Tell him it's impossible. Tell him they're from different worlds. Tell him she's not strong enough for his life. Tell him she loves him anyway. Before she could respond, someone pounded on her door. Kemi's heart seized. Late-night knocks were never good. She grabbed her phone, ready to call emergency services, and peered through the peephole. Minho stood there in rumpled clothes, hair disheveled, looking nothing like the controlled prosecutor and everything like a desperate man. She opened the door. "What are you? I can't do this." He pushed inside, pacing her tiny living room like a caged animal. 4 days, Kemi. 4 days of pretending I can function without you. I can't. Minho, it's 2 a.m. Zara's sleeping. I'll be quiet. He wasn't quiet. I've spent 15 years building a career, 15 years making myself untouchable. Then you walk into my life humming songs and arranging flowers, and suddenly everything I built feels empty. You barely know me. I know everything that matters. I know you sacrifice so your daughter can have better. I know you see good in people even when they don't deserve it. I know you think you're invisible, but Kemi, he crossed to her in 2 strides, cupping her face in both hands. You're the most visible thing in my world. When you're not there, everything goes gray. Tears burned her eyes. I'm scared. So am I. His forehead touched hers, terrified. Because you've become my weakness, and in my world, weakness gets you destroyed. But I don't care anymore. I'd rather be vulnerable with you than safe and alone. Your world, she started, can adjust, will adjust. I don't care what people think, what complications arise. I'm not like you, Minho. I'm not Korean. That matters to people, not to me, but to others. To anyone who has a problem with you has a problem with me. His voice turned to ice, and problems with me don't last long. That's what terrifies me, the casual way you talk about power, the way you can make people disappear with a phone call. Would you rather I let Marcus hurt you? Let anyone hurt you? His grip tightened. I won't apologize for protecting what's mine. I'm not yours. Aren't you? He pulled back to look at her, and his eyes held everything. Desperation, hope, love, because I'm completely yours. Every controlled, broken part of me belongs to you now, and I know that's not fair. I know I'm dragging you into something complicated. But Kemi, his voice cracked, I can't lose you. I won't survive it. Minho, I love you. The words hung between them, raw and honest. I love that you're strong and protective. I love that you make me want to be better. I love how you love my daughter. I love your terrible bodega flowers and your off-key humming and the way you reorganize my books. They look better by color, she whispered, crying now. They do. He wiped her tears with his thumbs. Everything looks better when you're in it. My apartment, my life, me. She took a shaky breath. Let me love you. Let me take care of you and Zara. Let me be the man you make me want to be. What if it's not enough? What if the difference is between us? Then we'll fight for it together. He kissed her, soft and pleading. I'll leave my world if you ask. No. She pulled back. I won't ask you to give up who you are. Then what do you want? Kemi looked at this powerful man reduced to vulnerability in her cheap apartment, asking her to save him the way he'd tried to save her. She thought about Zara asking why she didn't smile, about how invisible she'd felt before Minho looked at her like she was real, about how love was always a risk, but some risks were worth taking. I want you, she whispered. All of you, even the complicated parts, even the scary parts. She grabbed his shirt, pulled him closer. I want you to teach me Korean. I want to learn about your world while you learn about mine. He kissed her, deep and claiming, lifting her off the ground as she wrapped around him. They broke apart, breathless. I want you to meet my cousins in Lagos, she continued. I want Zara to have a father figure who shows up. I want to wake up next to you and not feel like I'm trespassing in your life. You're not trespassing. You're home. He set her down gently. My apartment is home now because you're in it. I'm home because you see me. Minho, marry me. Kemi froze. What? Not now, not tomorrow, but eventually. Marry me and let me spend my life proving you're the best decision I ever made. He dropped to one knee right there in her tiny apartment. Kemi, will you? Yes, she blurted out, laughing and pulling him up. Yes, you impossible, dangerous man. You're insane. About you? Absolutely. He smiled against her mouth. Say maybe. Give me maybe. Maybe. She laughed through tears. You're absolutely insane and way too intense, and And yours. His voice turned fierce, possessive. Nobody touches what's mine. You're mine now, Kemi, and I'm yours. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me. She pulled him down for another kiss, surrendering to the impossible, terrifying, perfect reality of loving Kang Min-ho. A small voice interrupted. Mama, why is Mr. Kang here? They broke apart to find Zara in her doorway, sleepy and curious. Min-ho immediately crouched to her level. I came to ask your mom something important, but I should ask you too. He took Zara's small hand in his. Would it be okay if I spent more time with you and your mom? If I became part of your family? Zara studied him with 7-year-old seriousness. Will you make Mama smile again? Every single day. Will you read me stories and teach me Korean? Yes, and she hesitated. Will you stay? My dad left. People always leave. Min-ho's expression softened. I'm not leaving. Not ever. I promise you both. He looked between them. You're my family now, and I protect my family. Zara threw her arms around his neck. Min-ho stood, lifting her easily, and reached for Kemi with his free arm. They stood there, the prosecutor, the maid, and the little girl, forming something new and fragile and impossibly strong. I love you, Kemi whispered against Min-ho's shoulder. I love you both, he whispered back. My whole world. And for the first time in 7 years, Kemi felt completely, utterly, perfectly seen. The following week, Min-ho insisted on meeting Kemi's cousins via video call to Lagos. He sat beside her on the couch, Zara between them, as familiar faces filled the screen. This is Min-ho, Kemi said in Igbo, switching languages naturally. He wants to marry your cousin. Min-ho supplied in perfect Igbo, making Kemi's jaw drop. When did you learn? I've been studying since the night we met. He smiled at her shocked expression. I wanted to understand every part of you. Her cousins erupted in excitement, questions flying in rapid Igbo. Min-ho answered each one patiently, his pronunciation careful but improving. By the end of the call, Kemi's family had adopted him completely. You learned Igbo for me, she said after they hung up. I'm learning Igbo for us, for Zara, for the family we're building. He pulled her close. I want our children to know both worlds. Our children. The plural made her heart skip. Getting ahead of yourself? Am I? His hand rested on her stomach, warm and possessive. Because I plan on giving Zara siblings, lots of them. You're impossibly in love with you, he corrected. 2 months later, they'd settled into a routine that felt like breathing. Kemi still worked, though Min-ho had offered repeatedly to support her. She wasn't ready to give up her independence completely, but she'd moved into the penthouse, her and Zara's things filling spaces that had been empty too long. Min-ho had converted one room into an art studio for Zara, another into a library that held books in Korean, English, and Igbo. One evening, Min-ho came home late, tension radiating from him. Kemi was in the kitchen making jollof rice, Zara's favorite. She turned off the stove and went to him. What happened? A case. He loosened his tie, exhaustion evident. The defendant today, he reminded me of Marcus. Same excuses, same justifications for hurting someone weaker. And I wanted to destroy him, not professionally, personally. Min-ho, I wanted to make him suffer the way Marcus made you suffer. His voice dropped. Does that scare you? That I'm capable of that violence? She took his face in her hands. What scares me is that someone hurt you so badly you think violence is the only answer. But I also know you didn't act on it. You used the law. You did your job. That's what matters. How do you see good in me when I barely see it myself? Because I love you. All of you. The prosecutor who destroys criminals. The man who learned Igbo for my family. The person who reads bedtime stories to my daughter with different voices for every character. She kissed him softly. You're not your worst impulses, Min-ho. You're the choice you make every day to be better. He pulled her close, burying his face in her neck. I don't deserve you. You're stuck with me anyway. That night, after Zara was asleep, they lay tangled in sheets, Min-ho's fingers tracing patterns on Kemi's skin. I want to make this official, he said quietly. The marriage. I know we said eventually, but Kemi, I don't want to wait. When? Whenever you're ready. Tomorrow. Next month. Next year. Just say you'll marry me for real. She turned to face him, seeing vulnerability in his eyes. Next month. Let's do it next month. Small ceremony, just family. His smile was brilliant. Next month. He kissed her deeply, rolling her beneath him. And then, I'm never letting you go. You already haven't let me go. I noticed. She smiled against his mouth. Good, because I'm very possessive of what's mine. Prove it. He did. The wedding happened on a Saturday in November, autumn painting Seoul in shades of gold and red. They married in a small traditional hall, combining Korean and Nigerian customs in a ceremony that made everyone cry. Kemi wore a dress that was a fusion of both cultures, white lace with Ankara accents. Minho wore a black suit with a traditional Nigerian cap her cousins had sent. Zara was flower girl, taking her job with adorable seriousness. When they exchanged vows, Minho spoke in both Korean and Igbo. I promise to see you always, to protect you fiercely, to love you completely, to be the man worthy of your faith in me, every day for the rest of our lives. Kemi's voice shook with emotion. I promise to stand beside you, to challenge you when you're wrong, to celebrate you when you're right, to build a family with you that knows love without fear. You saved my life by seeing me. Now I choose to spend that life with you. The kiss that sealed their marriage lasted so long, Zara shouted, "Get a room," making everyone laugh. At the reception, Minho's colleagues mingled with Kemi's friends and family from Lagos who'd flown in. Cultures collided beautifully. Korean food beside Nigerian dishes, traditional dances blending into modern music. This is perfect, Kemi said, watching Zara dance with Minho's mother. It's real, Minho corrected, holding his wife close. That's better than perfect. 6 months into their marriage, Kemi started feeling nauseous. She ignored it for a week, attributing it to stress. Minho had a big case. Zara had exams. Life was full. But when she missed her period, she couldn't ignore it anymore. The test was positive, 3 tests actually, because she needed to be sure. She sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the lines, wondering how to tell him. Minho found her there 20 minutes later, home early from court. Kemi? What's wrong? She held up the test without speaking. He stared at it, at her, back at it. For a long moment he didn't move, then slowly he sank down beside her on the floor. You're pregnant. His voice was barely a whisper. Yes, with my child. Our child. She watched his face, unable to read his expression. Are you okay with this? We weren't planning. Okay with it? He laughed, the sound shocked and joyful. Kemi, I'm... He couldn't finish, pulling her into his arms so tight she could barely breathe. We're having a baby. The wonder in his voice made her cry. We are. He pulled back, hands framing her face. You're giving me everything. Family, love, purpose, a child. His voice cracked. I don't deserve this. You do. She covered his hands with hers. You deserve every good thing. That night, they told Zara, who screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard. I'm getting a sibling? She bounced on the couch. Can we name it? If it's a girl. Minho laughed. What name? Princess Jasmine. Absolutely not, Kemi said firmly. We'll think about it, Minho said, winking at Zara. The pregnancy was smooth. Minho was attentive to the point of obsession, monitoring everything Kemi ate, ensuring she rested, accompanying her to every appointment. You're going to drive me crazy, she told him at 5 months. When he tried to carry her upstairs, she could walk perfectly fine. I'm taking care of you. Both of you. His hand rested on her growing belly. Sue me for being protective. I married a mother hen. You married a man who loves you. There's a difference. At 7 months, complications arose. Kemi's blood pressure spiked during a routine checkup. The doctor's face was serious. We need to monitor this closely. If it gets worse, we may need to deliver early. Minho's hand found hers, gripping tight. What can we do? Rest. No stress. Careful monitoring. The doctor looked between them. And Mr. Kang, she needs to stay calm. Your wife tells me you tend to hover. I'm not hovering, Minho protested. You are, Kemi and the doctor said simultaneously. That night, Minho was quiet. Too quiet. Kemi found him in the nursery they'd prepared, standing by the crib they'd assembled together. Talk to me. I'm scared. He didn't turn around. What if something happens? What if I lose you? What if the baby? You won't lose us. You don't know that. He finally faced her and she saw real fear in his eyes. I've lost people before, Kemi. I won't survive losing you. Then don't lose me. She crossed to him, taking his hands. Fight for me. For us. The way you always do. I don't know how to fight blood pressure. You fight by staying calm, by trusting the doctors, by being here with me instead of spiraling in fear. She pressed his hand to her belly where their baby kicked. Feel that? That's our daughter saying she's fine. We're both fine, and we're going to stay that way. He pulled her close, careful of her belly. I love you so much it terrifies me. I know. She held him tight. I love you the same way. 2 weeks later, at 34 weeks, Kemi's water broke. Too early, they rushed to the hospital, Minho's face pale but determined. He stayed with her through 14 hours of labor, holding her hand, whispering encouragement, refusing to leave even when nurses suggested he take a break. You're doing amazing, he kept saying. So strong, so brave. I'm never having another baby, Kemi panted. You're insane if you think. We'll discuss it later. He wiped her forehead. Right now, just focus. Push. She did. And then, after what felt like forever, a cry pierced the air. Small but strong. Your daughter, the doctor said, placing the baby on Kemi's chest. She's perfect. Minho looked at them both, his wife and newborn daughter, and tears streamed down his face. He wasn't ashamed. You did it, he whispered, kissing Kemi's temple. You're incredible. She's so small. Kemi stared at the tiny person on her chest, overwhelmed with love. She's perfect. Minho touched his daughter's hand with one finger. She gripped it instinctively. And just like that, Kang Minho, Seoul's most feared prosecutor, the man who'd built his reputation on being untouchable, was completely, utterly destroyed by love. What should we name her? Kemi asked. Grace, Minho said immediately. Because that's what you gave me. Grace when I didn't deserve it. A chance when I should have been refused. Love when I'd only known control. Grace Okan Kang. It's perfect. Zara met her sister the next day, climbing carefully onto the hospital bed to peer at the baby. She's tiny. Very tiny, Minho agreed. That's why we have to protect her. I'll protect her, Zara declared with 7-year-old seriousness. Nobody will hurt her. Ever. That's right. Minho pulled Zara close with one arm, the other around Kemi and Grace. We protect each other. That's what family does. 3 months later, Kemi stood in their bedroom, Grace sleeping in the bassinet nearby. Minho came home from court to find her crying. What's wrong? Did something happen? Is Grace okay? She's fine. Kemi wiped her eyes. I'm just overwhelmed. By what? Everything. She gestured around. This life, this apartment. You, our daughters. A year ago I was invisible, Minho. I was cleaning houses and surviving. And now I'm here, married to you, with 2 beautiful girls and more happiness than I thought possible. I keep waiting for it to disappear. It won't. He pulled her close. This is real, Kemi. We built this together, you and me, and it's not disappearing because I won't let it. You can't control everything. I can control how much I love you, how hard I fight to keep you happy, how completely I commit to this family. He tilted her face up. You're not invisible anymore. You're the center of my entire world. She kissed him softly. How did I get so lucky? You let me see you, he whispered. That's all. You let me see you and I fell completely. Grace stirred, making soft sounds. They both turned to watch her, this tiny person they'd created together. She has your eyes, Kemi said. And your stubbornness, Minho added. We're in so much trouble, the best kind of trouble. That evening, they hosted dinner. Zara helped set the table while Minho cooked. Kemi held Grace, watching her family move around the kitchen. Minho's mother arrived first, bringing enough food to feed an army. Kemi's cousins joined via video call from Lagos, and slowly the apartment filled with laughter and love and the beautiful collision of 2 worlds becoming one. Later, after everyone had left and both girls were sleeping, Minho found Kemi on the terrace overlooking Seoul. The city glittered below, millions of lights against the darkness. What are you thinking about? He wrapped his arms around her from behind. How different everything is. Last year I stood in an apartment and wondered how I'd survive the next day. Now I'm here with you, wondering how I got so lucky. You survived because you're strong. You're here because you gave me a chance. He turned her to face him. Kemi, I need you to know something. I see you. Every day. In every way. You're not invisible to me. You never were. Even that first day in the penthouse I saw you. I just didn't know what it meant yet. What did it mean? That I'd been waiting for you without knowing it, that you'd change everything, that loving you would save me. He kissed her deeply. Thank you. For what? For seeing me back, for believing I could be more than what I was, for giving me a family when I didn't think I deserved one. She rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. We saved each other. Yes. His arms tightened. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of that salvation. You already have, just by loving us. They stood there as Soul breathed below, two people who'd found each other against impossible odds. The prosecutor and the maid, the powerful and the invisible, the broken and the healing. They'd built something real from nothing, something beautiful from pain, something lasting from a single moment when he'd chosen to see her. Grace cried from inside. We're being summoned, Kemi said, smiling. Minho took her hand and they walked back inside together, toward the sound of their daughter's voice, toward the life they'd built, toward a future neither of them had imagined but both of them had earned. This was their story. Not perfect, but real. Not easy, but worth it. Not what either of them had planned, but exactly what both of them needed. Love that saw through invisibility, protection that became partnership, fear that transformed into family. And as Minho lifted Grace from her bassinet, as Kemi watched her husband become soft with their daughter, as Zara wandered in sleepily asking for water, she knew with absolute certainty that this was where she belonged. Not invisible, not alone, not afraid. Here, seen, loved, home, the end. Thank you for watching, besties. If you enjoyed this story of Kemi and Minho, please like, share, and subscribe to K Fairy Tales Stories. Drop a comment telling me what you loved most about their journey from invisible maid to beloved wife. Should I tell more stories like this? Let me know. Until next time, keep believing in love that sees you.